I had a lazy Sunday the other day. There wasn't a whole lot that I really felt like doing. It was rainy and cold. It was super boring outside. I didn't want to go for a walk in the rain. I really didn't feel like working. The kids were all busy. We were just sitting around in the house, and I went upstairs and started going through these old boxes that my mom had put aside for us to take from our childhood. Stuff that I had saved and put away that I left at her house just to make it all of her stuff that we had to get out. So I graduated from high school and I had all these cards from everybody. And I looked at all the cards and there were like 50 of them. And I know I saved them because my mom had me do the thank you notes like I should have done. But I would say she made me do the thank you notes when I was 18. And I did all these great thank you notes and I read through all of the cards. And about 90% of them were just signatures. They were boring cards that somebody put money in, they signed their name, and that was it, right? Like most of us do. But there was probably 10% of them that had a message. There was a message from one of my dad's old coworkers that I read into, and it really was something cool to me because it showed probably the relationship my dad had with me at the time, and it was something that this friend was telling me how hard my dad was working to make my life better. And I would never have seen it in that moment. But looking back 20 plus years later, and I'm reading that, it was so magical. It was so interesting to me. Looking through some of the letters I found, things I saved from my childhood, little notes and drawings from my cousins when they had visited, reminding myself of how close we were growing up and how important those relationships are and were in my life. You know, things that you can get away from when you're busy. The people you love the most, the people you grew up with, aren't always the people that are right around you today. In fact, we often forget how impactful those people were in us becoming who we are today. I took a picture of the little letters that I had and I sent one to my cousin Billy and one to my cousin Michael. And I even found a letter when I graduated from high school from my cousin Heather. And she wrote me a note that basically was almost a motherly note. Hey, listen, hotshot, you're going to college. Don't mess it up for the rest of us. You know, you're representing our family. She's younger than me. When I go next year, I want to make sure that you're doing all the right things. And oh, by the way, I bought you that coffee pot. I thought it was something you could really use for college, and I saw it was on the list of things you might need. So when you're paying attention to all those late nights and studying hard, make sure you're having a cup of coffee and you can think about me. Here's what I learned from that. Number one, the level of hope and opportunity and belief that my family was putting in me at such a young age all made me who I am today. Those little things I could not and did not see then, but I see it now, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful to all those family members and all those cousins and the big family we had that took the time to write the special notes. They didn't have to do that. They were kids. We were teenagers. But we grew up so close together. And 20 years later, of course, I know how close we all are, but it was a really great reminder. It was a slow day and a slow reminder of things that I just took time to look back on. See, when we have the time to look back on things, we have the time to actually remember them the way they were. Not just the way we remembered them as we thought back, but looking at that card gave me a totally different perspective on that moment. I didn't even remember the coffee maker. I'll never forget the coffee maker now. And that is something that I'm so grateful for. Slow days, lazy days are something I really struggle with. I don't know about you, but I struggle with sitting around. I feel like I should be doing so many other things. I mean, I literally time my naps, folks. I put a 25-minute timer on and I time a nap because I don't want to waste any part of the day. I know I'm probably broken in some way, but I'm just not good at being lazy. But when I am, and I find myself taking the time to look through the past, what a perspective it provides me for the future. Don't forget the powerful lessons that the past provides us for the future. I did another video earlier today on coaching, and I got to read notes from the coaches that were in my life. I got to find an old diary of my sister had written from a trip we took, a vacation we took as kids. I found old pictures from that vacation. I found pictures I kept in my wallet through my high school years and my college years, and the people that meant the most to me during those years, who, guess what, still mean the most to me today. These are all the things that sometimes you just need a reminder of. And I used it as a chance to take a quick picture and to share it with that person that shared something with me 20 years earlier. You know, I told my kids who weren't barely listening to me, because I am a parent, but I said it's like a boomerang, right? You throw it out there and you never know what's going to come back. Sometimes it takes 20 years to see the value of something you put out there. Sometimes it's momentarily. You know, I sent all those notes out to people and all those little pictures, and everything I got back was even more fulfilling than actually throwing it out there. But if I never throw it, if I just kept it to myself, I never got anything back. Take the time to remind people who built you how important they are. Take the time to remind yourself who built you. Because if you think you did it on your own, I know I didn't. I know I didn't. And I'm so grateful to all the people around me every day, whether it's my teammates at Freedom Street, the advisors that make up our offices, the very employees we work with every day, or just my family and friends and the cousins I grew up with. All those people helped me make my life the way it is today, and I'm so grateful. So today's message is about gratitude. It's about looking back and taking a moment to remember the past to provide perspective for our future. I shared those cards, those pictures, those letters with my kids, and they won't appreciate them today the way they will 10 years from now, 20 years from now, the way I do when I look back on my parents' stuff. So thanks for taking the time to listen to this today. And what are some stories that you've gone back on? What are some things that you've seen in your past that you have gone back and looked at that have really jogged your memory about something that moved you in the right direction? What are some things that you've done that took the past and made it such a powerful precursor to your future? What are the things that are just like what I described? Who are the people? Tag them. Tell them. Take a moment to tell them, because I can guarantee you there were literally letters in there with people's names that I hadn't thought about in 20 years. People I worked with 20 years ago that I haven't even seen and I'm not even Facebook friends with. I mean, can you imagine? Yet they exist. Take a moment to go back. I promise you, you'll be so thankful you did. Thanks for joining me.